All right, guys, it's time. It's the recap. If you noticed, I actually stopped the timer early. I had to do that because not one fight had the entire time run out, so I wasn't going to let that happen on the recap show. Keep the streak going. Obviously, this is the UFC Vegas 57 recap show. I'm your host. My name is Keith Shillan. Joining me, as always, is the senior editor of Sherdog.com, the great Ben Duffy. Ben, how you doing, my man?
I'm buzzing. You always worry when you get to the 10th fight or the final fight of a card that had been so good, like just don't let us down now.
Yeah.
And nope, we ended up 10 fights, 10 finishes, a couple of the year candidates. We had a knockout of the year candidate, a beatdown of the year candidate. One of our breakthrough fighters of the year continues breaking on through. What a card.
Yeah, it was a really good card, really good night. We had 10 fights. We lost 2 since we did the previous show. Ariana Lipsky missed weight, wasn't cleared to fight. Josh Quinlan had a little John Jones episode. We had a trace amount of I don't know. I'm not getting into that scientific stuff, but he had some kind of trace amount of something. Got pushed to next week. So,
but literally, like John Jones, got pushed from Nevada to California.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's what we should just do with all of them. Anyways, we got 10 fights. It's probably a shorter episode than we've really done in a long time, being that there's only 10 fights to break down. Not too much for the rankings. It was a ultimate fighter night, so let's get into it. Shout out to all the people in the chat. A lot of the usuals are in there. Obviously, we'll try to take your comments, questions, your opinions, all that good stuff. Let's get right into it. Main event. We had a light heavyweight slugfest between two of the biggest hitters in the UFC. Two of the better strikers are known for their striking. As former title challenger Thiago Santos took on rising star Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill won a 4th round TKO. First of all, if you were just grading that fight, what would you grade that fight?
B+. I mean, okay. It's not like it was all nonstop action.
No.
And while it's going to go down as a breakout moment for Hill, the moment that he certified himself an actual title contender, it's not like it was an incredible performance by him. You know, there's plenty of things to pick at there, but it was a good fight. It was good enough not to ruin the rest of the show.
Yeah, it's not how I expected. I didn't expect, All-American wrestler Thiago Santos to show up. I kept thinking when he was wrestling, like, this is going to backfire on him. And I think it totally did. I think he gassed himself out. I actually think the knockout from Hill wasn't that Santos was really rocked. I think he was more tired.
Oh, the very end was absolutely where he just kind of fell down off of a glancing punch. No, it's because he was exhausted. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Having said that, let me throw out here, I like the idea. I do think this was Thiago Santos fighting to his best possible advantage. Because if he didn't try that and he just stuck around on the gunnery range all day, I think he would have been knocked out sooner.
Well, I was thinking that, and I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of like bashing his strategy a little bit. And then I start sitting there and I go, well, if you were his coach, what would your strategy be? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jamahal Hill is just such a terrible stylistic matchup. He's long and lengthy, which is something that Santos doesn't really have to worry about. Someone who's that much longer and lengthier. He's a better athlete, which Santos has really never had to face. I mean, like, that was like the one thing you said when he faced John Jones. Like, this might be the first guy to face John Jones who's a better athlete than John Jones.
Yeah.
He's Santos is kind of shot. He's not the same fighter that he was that earned the title shot against John Jones. And so I go, how would I fight him? I said, well, there's really 3 ways to fight him. The first way is how we did. Try to get some takedowns. Maybe you win some rounds. Maybe you can really slow down the pace and then get a takedown and kind of maybe do it 3 out of 5 rounds and win a shot. The other way I said is to get to the pocket, throw down, maybe you land a big shot. Get inside, crowd him, try to make this a brawl. First round, you land one of those big shots. Maybe that happens. So Sorry about the comments are popping up faster than I expected.
Sorry, I've been doing a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the little thing is we have the comments on the side, and if I move my mouse to kind of read the comments while I'm talking, sometimes I'm thinking I'm hitting them.
No,
So,
that was me.
Yeah. So those are two strategies, and then the third one that I would have told them to do. Not that I think this would have worked, but I think this would have gave him the best chance, and that would have tried to do an Andrei Arlovski pace, moving, slow the fight down, slow, and just leg kick. Leg kick. The times he was throwing leg kicks, it was working. Maybe use up some power. Maybe that slows down Hill. Maybe he doesn't press you as much. Do I think that ultimately would have worked? No.
No, but I mean, I know we're going to talk about matchmaking at the end of this segment. Going forward, if he wants to keep fighting, if he wants to fight for another 3 or 4 years, if he wants another 6 or 8 fights, he's going to have to turn into that kind of fighter.
Yeah, he's going to have to go call up Andrei Arlovski and say, hey, how can I prolong my career? Between the wrestle heavy to gas yourself out and then throwing the big haymakers, he doesn't have the cardio to do a wrestle heavy, and he doesn't have the skill set either. He's not a guy he can get one takedown and then he's going to hold them down and that's the end of the round. That's not his. Jamahal Hill kept getting up over and over, and even though I think it was the third round where Santos had his most success with the wrestling, he still had to work for every takedown. This wasn't just getting in on the hips, tripping. It didn't look like what Juliana Miller was doing, where she was getting to the clinch, foot sweeping, get on top. Like he had to work for every second of those takedowns. And some would actually argue he still lost that round because he didn't do much. He would do no damage with the striking on top.
Agreed. There's a different level of wrestling. When you get someone who's been doing it since they were 5 or 6 years old, that did it in high school, college, not even necessarily a high level college, but just got in their 10,000 hours. They got in that many reps. Yeah. They get good at wrestling in a way that they expend less energy than their opponent. They just get better at control. They get better at chaining takedown attempts without having to muscle through everything. Santos doesn't have that. And at this age, he may never have that. So he's going to wrestle. And if he's fighting a live guy, he's going to get tired first from it. That's tough.
I agree. That said, so I don't think Thiago Santos looked good. I'm going to make something very controversial considering this is the best win of Jamahal Hill's career, especially obviously name recognition. I don't think he looked good either.
No, there were some good things about his performance.
Yeah.
Like for his first 4th round fight, he was tired, but he was less tired than his opponent. He was still the one pushing the pace. He was the one controlling the action. I mean, that's a decent takeaway. But every time he had Santos hurt, he just turned into flailing wildly. And he blew more energy than he needed to. He didn't do as much damage as he could. And while it didn't backfire on him this time, he could easily have just been caught with a short counter in one of those wild collisions by Santos, who can still crack. And all of a sudden, he's on his back, unconscious in like the biggest fight of his career. Yeah, he was looking too hard for a highlight reel finish, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some of that has to do with his style. I think when a guy is throwing big haymakers at you, it's almost natural to kind of throw him back, you're trying to knock me out, I'm going to try to knock you out. I think that kind of happens. Let me ask you this. So so guys are saying Ben is a bit louder than I am. Is that, I think I have huh?
Got it. No, I got it.
All right. I'm good?
Yep.
Okay. I was worried about my AC that's right here.
Nobody can hear it.
Okay. I lost where I was talking. Oh, so if I was grading just Hill's performance, now again, he stopped a top 10-ish, top 15-ish ranked guy in the world, 4th round TKO. I still only give him like a C. Like I'll tell you right now, he's not on my Bulls list.
No.
So I'll say this about Hill. Well, let me ask you this: how did you have the fight scored up to the 4th round?
I wasn't scoring it live, but I did. I gave Yeah, I mean, I had Hill up 2 rounds to 1. I would say.
Okay. All right. So I had it the opposite. I actually had Santos up 2-1.
You gave
But
Santos 1 and 3.
I had Santos up 1-3. The first one is one of those ones I watched that round 10 times. I could score it 5 times for Santos, 5 times for Hill. So I wasn't like in that moment. I wasn't like feeling either guy. That said, one championship scoring, pride scoring, I had Hill, obviously. His second round was his. And even though Santos just won the third round, again, I think you could make an argument for Hill. Like if someone had Hill up all 3-0, I had no issues with that. But I did give Santos the third round. I was pretty confident, like, he's done. He's getting stopped in the fourth round. Even though I had him up 2-1.
Yeah, he looked.
Well, I lose you, Ben. I think I lost Ben for a second. That happens sometimes when let me see if I can. You guys, did I lose Ben or did you guys lose me? I'm not sure. You guys let me know. Ben, you there?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I can hear you. I can see you. Yep.
All right. I don't know. It was frozen on my screen, so hopefully it was just frozen on my screen. And then people are like, oh, no, okay. All right. They lost you for a second. It shit happens. Okay, so we both kind of felt the same way. Like the stoppage was coming soon. That Hill was going to win that fight. Even if he didn't stop him, he was probably going to win the last 2 rounds and kind of cruise to a victory. My big concern, if I'm a cornerman of Jamahal Hill, if I'm a Jamahal Hill fanboy, I feel like the blue planet is out there. If you get taken down, how many takedowns was it for Santos? And again, he didn't get held down really, but still to get taken down 6, 7, 8 times by Thiago Santos. He's a guy that we joked about on the preview about his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling. And like, we never see him wrestle, and you got taken down that many times. What would happen if he fought Glover Teixeira? Now, again, he could starch anybody. He could get matched against the best wrestler in the division and starch him with one shot. No doubt. Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades. No doubt. But if he doesn't, if they get in on his hips, you get a good wrestler. You get a guy with top control, a guy like Glover Teixeira. I'm feeling less confident in Jamahal Hill moving forward than I did heading into this fight.
Agreed. It's concerning. It's why I said there's plenty to pick at about his performance, especially when you compare him to the kinds of fighters he's probably going to be taking on next.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about him, if you really think about the division, this is not the wrestle heavy division some other ones are. This isn't welterweight. Other than Glover Teixeira, who's a really good wrestler in the division. Jan Blachowicz, I think Jan Blachowicz is a very underrated wrestler. I think he's extremely underrated, but like you'd say, he's a powerful wrestler in the division.
Magomed Ankalaev.
Okay, that was an obvious one. Sorry, I forgot about him. So yeah, that was an obvious one. Okay, so those two, but those are 2 huge steps to get through, and they're both in his path if he wants to, or at least one of them will have. He's got to match up with one of those guys soon. Yeah,
that's about it.
I feel like this. It's so funny how some guys and you know the whole MMA math don't work and this and that. He matches up much better against Yuri Prochazka than he does the guys to get to Yuri Prochazka.
Well, yeah, because Prochazka is going to give him exactly the kind of fight he wants. A wild slugfest where, yeah, I would favor Prochazka there, but Prochazka is very defensively porous for such a good fighter as well. And, you know, one guy's getting knocked out. Maybe I make it 70-30 Prochazka, but yeah, like Hill has a lot more avenues to victory there.
Yeah. Kyle Law, mentioned Corey Anderson. Obviously, Corey Anderson's in Bellator, but this is a fun recap show. We can do hypotheticals. I think Corey Anderson right now would smoke him.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Anderson obviously is a very, very good wrestler. He's also very composed on the feet and hits stupid hard. Like how I said, Hill, every time he had Santos hurt, especially in the first 2 rounds, just started flailing wildly, and they got in these like ridiculous like situations on the feet. Anderson's the kind of guy that would just plant, wait, and hit him with something short to the chin, and it's over.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'd dump him. He'd drop underneath. I think Ryan Bader would be a tough matchup for him right now, even though Ryan Bader's a much better fighter at heavyweight at this point of his career than he is light heavyweight. But there's just some tough stylistic matchup. Luckily for him, there's 2 or 3 top wrestlers, and I don't know.
And a lot of them aren't like people like Phil Davis, Vadim Nemkov. They're over where they can't get to Hill.
Yeah, so. yeah. Actually, it's ironic to say this.
The UFC keeps cutting the wrestlers out of 205.
Yeah, but it's ironic to say this, but Jamahal Hill, I actually think, has an easier road to become UFC champion than if he was in Bellator.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, so like, I'm not saying Bellator is better than you, even though I do really think Corey Anderson would give. I think Nemkov and Corey Anderson would give Prohaska a really hard time, but it's not often you'll hear us say Bellator is better at something. And I'm not saying the whole Bellator light heavyweight division. Don't read into what I'm saying. I'm just saying those guys are stylistically tough matchups right now.
Right.
So that said, what do you do with Hill? I mean, all right, if we're picking up the phone, let's do it hypothetically. Let's do it real quick because we don't have that much to talk about. Light heavyweight, Ben, you're the matchmaker. Yuri Prohaska, you're trying to find. There's nothing's booked for him yet. The first guy getting the call is who?
Jan Blachowicz.
Okay, number 2 guy getting the call is who?
Jamahal Hill.
Blachowicz is injured, can't take whatever.
Hill's number 2.
Hill's number 2, really?
Because I'm trying to avoid Teixeira.
Okay.
And basically everyone else in the I'm forgetting about Ankalaev. Ankalaev is next. Sorry.
Yeah. It's tough for Ankalaev because he had a dominant victory, but because of the circumstances around it, similar to what we had with Curtis Blades a couple weeks ago, they have these Blades even worse than Ankalaev, but they have these should be huge moments for them, and they get no shine because of the circumstances around it.
Yep. Agreed.
So that said, you have Hill number 2. I have a little bit further. I might
I would go Blachowicz, Ankalaev, Hill, and that's all just because I don't want an immediate rematch with Teixeira.
My one thing with I don't want to do immediate rematch with Teixeira either, but I would have Teixeira high on that just because the time to do that rematch is very narrow. And Teixeira one loss with Teixeira, and he's done as a contender. I mean, by the time you drop down the list, battle your way back, you're talking 43, 44. I mean, he's getting the Tom Brady age. So who are you, Mitch? And I'll throw this out to the chat too. We'll put guys. We'll put your matchups on there. Who would you match Hill? Now, again, the way we do matchmaking, we don't say who the UFC would do. We don't say who the fighters would accept. This is simply we're the supreme emperors of the world. Nobody can say no to us. Who are you matching Hill with?
Blachowicz or Teixeira.
Okay,
like one or the other.
All right,
I like the Teixeira fight, honestly.
Yeah, that's the one I had.
Like that's my favorite one right there. I think it sounds like a great fight. It gives Hill one more chance to answer kind of the nagging questions from this fight because Teixeira, like, he's obviously slowed a ton, but he's fundamentally sound striker, good boxer, hits hard, obviously still has a good takedown game and still has a crushingly heavy top game. Like, Hill, if he gets taken down by Teixeira, isn't just going to get up by posting on his head and just standing and twisting out like he did to Santos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he looked like me. He looked like me escaping from my little brother when I was like 15 and he was 10.
Yeah, absolutely not. You make a mistake against Teixeira. He's got great ground and pound, but he is. I mean, who's a better grappler in the history of the light heavyweight division than Glover Teixeira?
Oh. That's a great question.
Is there any, maybe Randy Couture? Maybe, I mean, his stint in light heavy wasn't that long, but maybe Couture or Ortiz in his prime. You know, but little different style, much more wrestle, ground and pound. But you know,
but in terms of the total threat, submissions, ground and pound,
the ability, what I'm talking about, the total package,
the ability to get the fight to the ground,
like
on his terms, like enough offensive wrestling. maybe Teixeira, man.
Yeah, because John Jones. Dev mentions John. Yeah, John Jones is like the answer to everything when you talk about light heavyweight. So yeah, it probably is John Jones. It really is. It probably is John Jones. But a total package there. I mean, that the whole point is that we might debate Glover Teixeira's ground game. With, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time, and I know it's both of our opinions, the greatest fighter of all time. That talks about how great Glover Teixeira is on the ground.
I mean, Jones is the greatest takedown artist in the history of that division. There's nobody he ever tried to take down that he couldn't, and we've never seen him out-grappled.
Yeah, Dominic Reyes. He's struggling. I mean, he might have got him down. I think got him down once, but not really.
Okay, that's true.
But I mean, he was slamming Ryan Bader and Matt Hamill. These are good wrestlers, and
took down Daniel Cormier just to show he could.
Yeah, of course. How did I feel him? Well, there's another guy that could be up there when we're talking about light heavyweights. But again, I feel the way about Daniel Cormier the same way I feel about Randy Couture, where they could be in that category. It's hard to rank those guys ever in a division. Like we're doing a little thing behind the scenes talking about the greatest heavyweight of all time. Randy Couture won the title 3 times, but it's still hard to grade him as a heavyweight because he spent a big part of his prime at light heavyweight, and the same thing with Daniel Cormier back and forth. I feel like the guys who are higher on the overall rankings, where you're not going by a division, just an overall career, than you do in a division. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That said, I'm doing the Glover Teixeira too, and I'm doing it very similar. I'm giving Blachowicz the title shot. I'm doing Teixeira and Hill the number 1 contender, and honestly, sorry, Ankalaev, but yeah, you kind of get pushed to the side. You're number 3 getting the phone call.
Which is rough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's now won 9 in a row. None of them have been close.
He's getting the Leon Edwards treatment by me.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's also about promotion too. And I think out of the guys we said, he's probably even though he's got this incredible record and incredible streak, he's the least marketable guy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of the Islam Makhachev of that division.
Yeah, Leon Edwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Santos. I know a lot of people will be calling. Before I move on to Santos, shout out to the chat. What I love about this, which is great about the division, we said who he should fight next. And a lot of times when we ask that question, we get a lot of the same answers. Everybody was saying someone different. Someone said Blachowicz. Someone said a title shot. Someone said, brought up Dominic Reyes. We said Glover Teixeira. I think someone else agreed with that. And Ankalaev was a real popular one. So Santos, I know a lot of people think he's done, probably should retire. He's still fighting main events
I don't think he should
UFC
retire.
and being somewhat competitive. I would still use him probably because of that. He's not in the Sam Alvey level yet. If he continues to want to fight, to me, he still does. He has to. I mean, at one point, you can't ignore the record. He has to take a step down in competition. I'm looking at him more like a fight night co-main event slot, maybe an opener of a pay-per-view, something like that. That's kind of the range I'd kind of drop him in now. Agree, or you think he's a little higher?
I think that's an appropriate use for him, especially in the kind of matchups that I'm going to suggest he get going forward. If he wants to keep fighting, like I said, if he wants to fight for another 3 or 4 years, if he wants to sign another 8-fight deal with the UFC and fight out 5 or 6 of them, he needs a huge step down. He either needs other guys that are shot like Shogun, OSP, or he needs like really, really fringe contenders that aren't even close, like Alonzo Menafield, Kennedy, and Zechikwu. Like guys that don't have even 3 or 4 wins in a row. Like they're still alternating wins and losses and just trying to raise themselves above the pack. Those are the kind of guys he should be facing.
Yeah, shout out to the chat again as we're popping up these answers. And unfortunately, we can't get them all up there. But yeah, the names we're throwing out, I love that everybody's throwing out all different names. I saw a lot of Jimmy Crute. I seen Nikita Krylov. You mentioned like a Shogun, Dustin Jacoby's thrown out there. I think Dustin Jacoby
Dustin Jacoby is fighting Khalil Roundtree.
He's booked. Okay.
All the shins are going to be hitting things.
Yeah.
Like that is the nastiest kicking matchup I can think of.
People have mentioned Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith's going to be out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if we see Anthony Smith again. He's got
Uzdemir and Krylov are booked against each other. Like guys, we do look at who has a fight before we talk about
that. Yeah. The name I'm going with is I wrote down Ryan Spann. I think fringe guy. I think he kind of deserves it. I don't really want to see Sand. I don't want to see that. You know, I like matching up the old guys. I don't really want to see Shogun fight anymore. And I think Shogun's still the guy that Santos. I mean, if you want to get Santos a walk off big, he's back. He has the huge power. Like Shogun's the guy that he could probably still do that too. But I don't want to see that.
Well, if you want Span, I think of him right in that same group as like Menefield and Zechikwu.
Yeah.
Like one of those guys.
All right. So before that, we had at one point it almost looked like the fight that was going to go to the distance. I was going to tweet this out. And I had a great tweet set up to be like, wow, 9 fights in and 1 fight goes to decision. Who had Vicente Luque and Geoff Neal? But that didn't happen as Geoff Neal got a walk-off face plant in knockout over Vicente Luque in the 3rd round. This, to me, was the best performance of Geoff Neal's career, not even close. I think this is the performance he put on tonight is going to be the one where there was this crazy buzz about Geoff Neal about a year and a half ago, before the Stephen Thompson fight. I don't know how long ago that go. Before the Stephen Thompson fight. I think that buzz is going to be right back. Like all those fights in between didn't matter.
It's the best performance of his career, but it's still very much a Geoff Neal performance. First round, he knocks down Luque at least twice, depending on how you're counting it.
Buckles him a couple times too.
Buckles him a couple times, busts his face up, just has clear superiority in the stand-up game. Luque was just going to keep coming at him, and Neal can handle that. Neal has good footwork. He can handle you coming at him. Took advantage of Luque, trying to pillar, not moving his head, and just busted him the hell up, and then had a whole Geoff Neal moment in the 2nd round. Just kind of stopped doing what was working for no apparent reason, kind of stopped pulling the trigger, and just gave away a round. I picked Neal to win this fight, and then at the end of the 2nd round, I was like, Neal's going to lose this fight, even though he's the better fighter tonight, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's why I might disagree a little bit that it was a Geoff Neal fight. And what I mean by this is, so I'm watching the fight, and I picked Luque. And I said everything you said. I think Geoff Neal's faster. He was super fast today. He was super accurate. Some of that has to do with Vicente Luque's style. Stand right in your face, eat one to land 2 of his own. But his left hand, he couldn't miss. He hurt him, and we knew he has the power to hurt him. Buckled him against a super, super durable guy, wicked durable guy like Vicente Luque, he's in that all-time durability club. You know what I mean? And why it was different to me. So the first round, he drops Luque, and Luque's covered in blood. It's instantly a Vicente Luque fight where you can't even see his face, And then Luque started turning up the pressure. And Neal is starting to back off. I start getting that. Here it is. He's a front runner. He's going to fold now. Vicente's going to stay in his fight, and we're going to have that moment like, what a comeback by Vicente Luque. I'm waiting for that. And then Geoff Neal hurt. Just when I start thinking that, Geoff Neal hurts him again. I go, okay. And then Luque started putting on him again. I go, he's going to buckle. He's going to fall. 2nd round comes. I go, here it is. He lost the 2nd round. But even in that 2nd round, he threw a couple shots and still hurt him. 3rd round starts off. And I go, Luque's coming up more aggressive in the 3rd. I said, he's gonna butcher Vicente Luque's face, and he's gonna lose 29-28. I'm thinking this, and I'm like, and then he hurts him, and then he turns it up, and then he hurts him again, then he turns it up, and then he puts him out. And I go, other times Geoff Neal would have folded. That's why, to me, maybe I think this could be a turning of the corner moment for him, because he. Not only did he not buckle, he looked confident. Like he felt like nothing could miss. And I actually think there might be some truth to I took the 2nd round off, kind of regained my energy because I know, how durable, how tough he is. I would have to have him a 3rd. I think there might be some truth to that too.
It's possible. If so, it's a dangerous habit to get into.
Extremely dangerous habit. Yeah, that's a good point. But the argument is this. How many guys make it out of that 1st round with him?
That's true. Obviously, I'm not an official MMA judge, but I didn't see how that couldn't be a 10-8 round. Like that.
It could have been. Yeah, I thought that too. It could have been. I was also thinking that. I was thinking he might get a draw.
Yeah, I'm actually going in a couple weeks to the official like Association of Boxing Commission's MMA reffing and judging training course. I'm going up to Austin to do that in a couple weekends.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll come back with all kinds of new insights.
Are we gonna see you cage side one day?
I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can do that while working for a media outlet.
Can I tweet out? Hey, that terrible score guy was by Ben Duffy.
Well, I want to be one of those guys that's in MMA decisions in two different like columns, like in the actual judges column and then the media column. But I don't think I can, out of like conflict of interest while I'm working for a media outlet. Otherwise, hell yes, I would.
Of course. Making predictions and then judging the fights.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Ben goes.
Ben's a great handicapper. Every time he says someone's going to win by decision, he does.
Yeah. He picked controversial split decision. Yeah. How did this happen?
He picked disqualification for this fight that he was reffing.
Yeah. I just want to Reddit tweet out like, yes, he does wear glasses. Ben wears glasses. You know. Those 9 uppercuts, like that was crazy. Someone tweeted out that was like a video game combination. We just keep throwing the same punch over and over again.
For sure.
I don't understand it. Like you could throw an uppercut on the left side and throw a hook on the right side. That doesn't change it. But really, really, really good performance. Let me ask this. I seem much higher on Geoff Neal's performance than you did tonight, but how much of this maybe wasn't Geoff Neal's performance and it's the decline of Vicente Luque? Because we've been saying for a really long time, the style's fun, but the style has a shelf life. Your Bobby Lawless, your Brian Barbarinos, these guys, your Matt Browns, the Thiago Santos is a perfect example. Like everything falls apart and it falls apart fast.
It's possible.
We have that with Luque.
And I mean, I think I may have misexpressed myself here because it was the best performance of Geoff Neal's career. It was his biggest win to date, his best complete performance. Just, I didn't think it was absolutely bulletproof. There's stuff that I'm sure Safe is going to be yelling at him about on the way home to Dallas. But I don't know if Luque is falling off. My main concern is he didn't look as game as he usually does. There's no other way to describe it. Like he was aggressive when it was time to be aggressive. He moved about the same. It's not like he looked slow. It's not like he looked fragile, but he's just usually such a dog. And I didn't see that tonight. I'll look for signs of physical decline maybe in his next fight. But as of now, I know he's had a lot of fights, but he's barely 30. Even by the standards of action fighters aging overnight, this would be early if he's really falling off a cliff now.
Yeah, he's 30, but I mean, he's got that's a lot of miles, 30. That's all right. That's not the 2011 Toyota Tacoma with 60,000. That's the 2018 Toyota Tacoma, but it's got 240,000. The guy's going highway every single day. Yeah, driving all the way across, Rhode Island every day.
Yeah. A couple people are speculating that maybe one or both of Luque's hands were hurt. That's possible. Yeah, we'll hear about it afterwards.
Sure.
But
he was throwing him pretty damn hard, though.
He was throwing him pretty hard, and he's a smart enough guy, and he's with a smart enough camp that he could have made adjustments and started trying to bring this thing to the ground. It's the area where Luque or where Neal is still most unproven.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like Neil Magny. Neil Magny had success with that. Even like Nico Price had moments where he was successful getting takedowns. Didn't win, but like had moments and whatnot. Yeah, and Luque's a good grappler. He just doesn't use it enough. He's just one of those guys. Like, yeah, it was there too, especially because Neal has such a like boxing style where you can kind of get underneath a big shot. Anyone who's pressing him back towards the cage. That eliminates the sprawl a little bit. What do we do with these guys next? So Geoff Neal called out Gilbert Burns. That works for me.
I think that's absolutely perfect because Burns is a guy who's been in the title picture. He got to the top of the mountain and didn't quite scale the summit, but he's still right there. So yeah, he's the perfect guy for Neal because if Neal beats him convincingly, then he can sit right alongside, and say, okay, I'm ready for someone like Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington or whatever. And Burns, if he beats Neal, like he's still orbiting the title picture himself. I like that. And it sounds like an amazing fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked it for the reason that Gilbert Burns tweeted at him and said, "Hey, like great showing, great fight. It's about time someone calls me out." And I'm like, "Yeah, who the hell calls out Gilbert Burns? Like, he's one of the top guys in the division that nobody ever calls out. Because even a guy like
Burns,
Chimaev, who looks like the killer that nobody wants to face, Burns had a lot of moments against Chimaev. Burns almost knocked out Kamaru Usman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Burns is as good as they come in that division.
Yeah, Burns has the speed and athleticism that Luque doesn't. He's a great grappler, but he's also a good wrestler.
Like, and he has very good power for a guy who's a former lightweight.
Yeah. True shot. I'll put this one up on the screen. This is a good point. I mean, 3 of the more suffocating wrestlers in a suffocating wrestler heavy top 10 are ranked right behind Burns. I mean,
that's
Brady, Rakhmonov, and Muhammad do not sound like a walk in the park for Geoff Neal.
I'm not completely sold on Sean Brady yet, even though, which is funny considering I was the guy who was pumping Sean Brady before anybody. I feel like Sean Brady's hit his ceiling a little bit, but I mean, but that ceiling, obviously, we're talking about whatever we're ranking 4th, 5th, and 6th, whatever it is in the world. Obviously, that ranking is extremely high. So, it is what it is.
I mean, he beat Bilal. Bilal has really, really tightened things up since then.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Bilal's been quietly improving.
Bilal's ahead of him when we're talking about, like, title. If we're picking up the phone and calling people, Bilal's ahead of him.
Yeah,
But so we both agree that Gilbert Burns, that's a perfect. Call-up.
Yep.
All right, what are we doing with Vicente Luque? I feel the same way about Luque as I would do Thiago Santos. Co-main event. I mean, he's in the co-main fight night already, but like that kind of range, I feel like now he's the test for the guy rising.
Muslim Salikov.
Okay,
that's incredible.
Fight, though.
I thought he won his last.
No, he lost. Li Jingliang.
Oh, then what am I thinking? Well, I mean, so did Luque. You know, 2 guys coming off losses works for me.
Okay. Yeah, you think of it, you have that Joe
I got the
style.
Yeah, I got the Joe Silva thing.
I always look at it as, and I've said this, you guys heard me say this 9,000 times. So shout out to Chris Sherwin saying, no, Brady's going to hold the title. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. You won't find a bigger, and I've been pumping Sean Brady forever, and I've been pumping Renzo Gracie Philly before anybody was. You go back to tweets, search head. I'm that's my team. That is my team. Anyways, back to.
How about Nicholas Dalby then?
What'd you say?
Nicholas Dalby.
Okay, that works. I won't. So I always think of the escalator. So it doesn't have to be a guy winning or losing. I just think about, this is a top 15 guy. This is a top 25 guy. Top 25 guy wins. Top 15 guy loses. They kind of meet in that top 20. That's I kind of think. I'm going Michelle Pereira. Because how freaking fun would that fight be?
That would be amazing. Same reason I mentioned Salikov, really. I want to see him in action fights. He's an action fighter more than a contender, I think, is what we're finally learning about Vicente Luque. But that's not a bad thing to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like there's very few guys who are that guy all the way to a title. You got your Robbie Lawler, but that's the exception to the rule. Not to mention he probably shouldn't have won the title to begin with. Not getting debate 10 years old or whatever that was, but so that was the 2 big fights on the top. But really, I'm gonna shout out to my boy Dev Goes Fishing. We got to talk about the real main events. That is the 2 Tough 30 season championships, as Dev wanted to say, the titles, the season 30 title. And someone shout out to this. This should be a good Sherdog article, and I'm sure Jay Petrie or Ben or somebody could do this. Can we get the lineal champions for each of the seasons? Like, who's the season 1 champion? Who, like, Forrest Griffin lost to this guy who lost to that guy? Like, who would be the season 1 champion right now? Anyways,
who has the lineal crystal obelisk of Tough One,
and then just
the
goes
$50,000 Zions sponsorship.
Who's the season 2 champion? Who's the season 3 champion? It'd be cool.
Who's got the Harley and the
yeah. Remember the Harley? Like, would it be cool if they had to like change Harleys? Like, was that TV show where they race cars and they have to give the guy the title and everything of the car? That'd be like that. That would have been way more entertaining if like. No, they should have. That's how they should have done it, man. I know that it's a little late at night. It's almost 2 a.m. Imagine back in the day, I don't know who won the Harley. Forrest Griffin wins the Harley. Every single time he comes out, he's going to ride the Harley like the Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Or no, it's a Legion of Doom, whatever. But when they lose, the other guy leaves with the Harley. That would have been dope. Anyways, I'm getting a little silly here. Mohammed Usman took on Zach Puaga. Everything was going great for Zach Puaga, and I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. Everything was going great until he ate a left hand and got knocked out cold. How about the brothers from the Usman brothers are taking over the UFC? I'll say this: he gets a walk-off knockout. He's now the Tough 30 champion. This was the best one of his career against a Puaga guy that I thought he seemed like a UFC level heavyweight, like a lower heavyweight or maybe even a light heavyweight. I still don't feel good about Mo Usman.
No, I don't either. Like, it was a fun finish, but it was kind of a lousy fight, and both of those guys slot in right alongside like Harry Hunsucker and Josh Parisian.
Yeah. I actually think, and this is going to sound really weird, a knockout like this could actually make Usman a worse fighter because he's always been a low output, look for one punch, or I shouldn't say low output. He fought in bursts. Now he might fight just.
It's going to turn him into heavyweight Tyron Woodley.
He's throwing those same one. Yes. I think that's a perfect example. Tyron Woodley backing up, throwing the same left hook, the same overhand right, which was a little
not
bit
wrestling.
A little bit of what he's always doing anyways. But hey, good for him. I actually hope I hope I'm wrong. Like he's got I don't want to say nice. He's got a tragic story about his son and everything. I mean, that's terrible. I'm a dad. You're a dad. Your son is in the chat. Like, that's terrible. So, like, I feel for the guy.
Yeah, and it's my son who's almost died like 20 different times that's in the chat, too. I'll have to tell stories about that sometime.
Which means, and by stories of that next time, we mean the next preview show, because we go off on side runs.
Yeah.
So we'll have to figure out. It's going to be like, oh, do you remember when this guy got knocked out cold? Oh, let me tell you when Adam flipped over his motorcycle, his dirt bike, when, I'll say this. Usman won. I think his record for the season should be 1-2. I actually thought he lost both fights. The second one, the semifinals one, really. Actually, they both were really close. So, like, you could make it wasn't a robbery or anything like that. But that's why, like, I'm not high on this guy.
Man, the comment section is House of Flying Daggers right now. You guys are killing me. Bring in Heather Hardy instead of Greg Hardy.
I was there when Heather Hardy got absolutely butchered in Connecticut. Who was the girl? Christine Williams.
Christina Williams. Yeah,
I kicked her and her like,
off.
Yeah, and her like Heather Hardy's nose like fell on my lap. I think I was sitting next to Marlos Kuning that night.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's where the story's gonna end, Ben.
Yep. All right.
Inside joke. Puaga, what do you think about him? Cut him, or would you bring him back?
If you're going to sign Usman,
obviously there's a cut list, but
if you're going to sign Usman, and you kind of have to now, you should sign him. He's a better fighter than Usman. If they fought again next weekend, he'd probably win. Like,
yeah, I actually would pick that if they fought again.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else you want to say about that fight?
No, I'm done with it.
All right. Before that, Brogan Walker took on Juliana Miller. I got into it with a lot of people during predictions. Like a lot of people didn't like me taking Juliana Miller. And I want to say, did you guys watch the season? Like, did you watch the season? Like, no, and I wasn't trying to be rude. I just kept saying that to people. Like, just be honest. You didn't watch the season. She's not bad. She's pretty good.
Yep.
And this is exactly how I expected the fight to go. I've gotten fights wrong a million times. So I'm not trying to brag. I've done it a million. I've gotten terrible. I mean, I picked Luque over Neal today. This is my best pick of the night. I was so confident in this pick.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I expected the fight to go.
I was with you on this one. And one thing I pointed out on the preview, and I pointed out because of how she looked on the show, and it was borne out tonight as well. She looks just kind of willowy. I mean, and not muscular. And obviously, Brogan Walker is jacked, but Miller was clearly so much stronger.
Yeah.
Just really woman handled her on the floor. And yeah, that's that kind of strength that comes from being a long-time grappler and putting in a lot of time on the mats. Like, she doesn't have beach muscles, but she's strong.
Yeah, she does tons of grappling. I mean, I look at her and people are like, oh, she's only 2-1 in the years with 2-1 in MMA. Well, you haven't really dug that long. She was undefeated as an amateur. She heading into this fight, she was 2-1. Now she's 3-1. The one loss she had, she avenged on the show. You're not adding the wins that she beat quality fighters on the show, and she competes in tons of high-level jiu-jitsu tournaments. And she's not super young. She's young in fight. She's young in fight year. Like, you know what I mean?
Boss just killed me. She looks like she's the female Chaz Skelly. That is absolutely correct. Minus athlete that doesn't look strong. And it turns out, well, yeah, they are a minus athlete, but once you get them on the ground, they're actually kind of strong. They're stronger than they look.
I was thinking the guy in Bellator. I can't think of his name. He wrestles a lot. Jake. His nickname is something stupid like bacon cheeseburger or double bacon cheeseburger or something like that. Junior bacon cheeseburger. It's a funny story. He used to eat double cheeseburgers. And it's like, dude, you're a professional fighter. You need to diet. And he's like, okay. And he showed the next one like a junior bacon cheese. He's like, yeah, it's a junior. And they said I call him junior bacon cheeseburger. What's his name? He's in Bellator. He's a wrestler who out wrestles everybody. Jeremy Kennedy. Thank you, Alan McDonald. That's what she reminds me of, a Jeremy Kennedy, where he like doesn't look good and he's not like this powerful wrestler. Like, you watch him like, how's this guy wrestling? But he just does it. That's who she reminds me of.
Yeah. So,
thank you, Alan. I like her attitude too, though. There's something else. I like this. I like she got up and did like the DX crotch,
Yeah.
thing. And which it's always weird when a woman does it, but still, she does the DX crotch thing. She has like a little like. I don't know if I'm going down the wrong path, but we've talked about like they got a little bit of that Kia car kind of thing going.
Yeah.
I think she has that going. And that's perfect for MMA.
Yeah, I mean, she's a middling prospect. Like, I didn't see anything from her tonight that made me go future top 10 fighter, but she's got a lot of time to work on it. She is fairly young. And
dude,
she'll be fun.
I'm way higher than you, man. I see her as a top 15 person. I really do. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna do a who she beat right now thing, but I like her a lot. I think she's gonna do much better than we think. And you know what? I maybe the bad girl attitude is tricking me. Like, I think about like a Ronda Rousey. Like, we haven't had that bitchy, like I want to be bitchy kind of thing. I like that in her.
I mean, Casey O'Neill has it.
Oh, Casey, yeah.
But for the most part, there's not much of it, and specifically in that division.
Yeah, and I like that. So just before you tweet us saying I'm calling her a bitch, no, I'm saying that in a good way. I'm saying that like a bad bitch, good way. Speaking of in a good way, Sergey Spivak had the performance of his career. He mauled Augustus Sakai, winning by TKO. I thought this was going to be a close fight. I remember telling you I was like right on the fence. I did pick Spivak, so I'm happy I picked the right guy. But I picked the fight wrong. I did not expect Spivak to have such an easy time with Augustus Sakai. He's really good.
He looked really good. He had surprising amounts of success on the feet. I mean, I thought he was going to have a pretty easy time getting Sakai to the ground. and controlling him and doing work down there. And that certainly was the case. Just for as hulking as Sakai is, he doesn't have much get up ability. He's just such a dead fish on the ground. He's not like full Greg Hardy, but he has like a pretty poor ground game. Like it's just not good.
Spivak, he's only 27, which is like the thing we talk about. That's like being 12 years old for a heavyweight. So he's honestly, like it's like who's it? Chase Hooper, like for heavyweights.
Yeah.
He's physically changed. He's lost some weight. You can see the muscle. You can see the definition in his arms. And I also think it's a confidence thing. Like I think he's like, they said something like he's 5-1 since dropping his first 2 fights in the UFC. And I mean, he's tossing guys around. I mean, he had a hip toss headlock on Sakai. And he went so wrestle heavy. He wasn't even breathing hard. Did you see the interview? He wasn't breathing hard, nothing.
No,
he seemed like he could have wrestled another 10 minutes. No problem.
Yeah. Technical Wealth says he's soft-spoken. Yeah, he's super soft-spoken. Like, he comes across almost like shy and nervous on the mic. He always does. No, he lost 2 of his first 3. He lost. And
I'll give you
it's ironic. But it's ironic because his first 3 fights, he beat Tai Tuivasa and he lost to Marcin Tybura and Walt Harris. I think if he fights him today, he beats Tybura and Harris and he loses to Tuivasa.
Tybura, I'm on the fence on. I think he beats Walt Harris, and I actually think he beats Tuivasa. I think he crowds him. I think he gets takedowns on him. I think it's one of those ones where Tuivasa's ceiling is higher. Like Tuivasa, if someone told me Tuivasa is the champion, I'd be very surprised.
Tuivasa's hit the ceiling. He's probably going to fight for a title in the next year.
No. Like I'd be very surprised if he won the title, but like I'd be less surprised of him winning the title than Spivak.
Mm-hmm.
But stylistically, I think that's a tough matchup for Tuivasa. You know who Spivak reminds me, and shout out to I know you'll remember this. I don't know if anybody else. A couple guys in the chat, like Bass, will probably get this. A couple guys in the chat will get this one. His style, his personality, and I'm going way back now. He reminds me of Remco Pardoel. You remember Remco Pardoel?
Yeah, I remember. Yes. Wow.
Big monster, soft-spoken, and has that judo style. So he's turning the back. He's doing the throws where he's exposing the back. Similar to what, like, Spivak doesn't do your conventional wrestling. He's doing upper body throws. Like, even, like, tonight when he took out Sakai, he did a throw. He actually gave up his back for a second, knowing that he could switch his hips and everything. That's going to be a problem against somebody. He's going to do that and end up on bottom. Don't try that on Curtis Blades. Like, do not try that on Curtis Blades. You're going to get murdered. Yeah. Shout out to Remco Pardoel.
Wow. Keith harkened all the way back to single-digit UFCs right now.
That was UFC 2. UFC 2. Remco Pardoel. One of my favorite interviews ever. He fought Orlando Wheat in the quarterfinals, and he murdered him. That's when he throws a judo throw and then does the downward elbows and just kills the guy. And afterwards, he interviewed him. He's like, "Yeah, I was kind of scared of that guy. I thought I was going to lose." Like, he's like, I didn't think I was going to win. And mind you, he had like 100 pounds on Orlando. This is before they had weight classes. He had like 100 pounds on the guy.
Wow.
So Spivak's on this nice win. What would you do with Spivak?
I got 2 options. You could give him Derek Lewis.
Okay.
Or you could give him the winner. Give him the winner of Andrei Arlovsky and Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who fight in like a month. I mean, before you wave it off, Arlovsky's on a 5-fight win streak.
I'm okay with it.
But only if it's Arlovsky, honestly. Because
yes, I was going to say that too.
As bad as he trucks Sakai on the ground, Pizal's ground game is even worse. Like, I already know what Spivak versus Pizal looks like. Spivak pounds him out on the ground in the first round. Like the same way you did Greg Hardy. Like you and I previewed his fight with Hardy, and I'm like, dude, he knocks Hardy out on the ground in the first 3 minutes. Like, no question.
And plus, beating Arlovsky, regardless, like there's some guys that are higher ranked and better skilled than a guy, but the win doesn't matter as much as it's why, like Terrence McKinney, we'll get to him next fight. He calls out Paddy Pimblett. That win matters more than if he called out Drew Dober, who just beat him. Even though Drew Dober would murder Paddy Pimblett. I think that's the same thing. Like, I'm not saying obviously with Arlovsky it's much different, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of people calling for Spivak versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I like that too.
That's the guy. That's the guy you hip toss. That's the guy you Remco Pardue it. I went with Derek Lewis because I just think of the escalators and
just don't
Derek
do it in
Lewis,
Texas.
Who's I think his wrestling, his like the negatives on his wrestling, the people perceive. I think he's a much better wrestler than he gets credited for. I think he'd be a much harder stylistic matchup for Spivak than a lot of people think. If he still has something left.
Just don't do it in Texas because Lewis apparently can't win here in Texas anymore. But yeah, like Spivak is not going to go in and just do like an underhook, like hip toss on him like he does to these fools. Like,
and if he does, Lewis is going to pop right back up.
Yeah, like Derek Lewis is like,
you
know, like I've been around the guy. He's like a chest freezer with legs. Like you're not just tossing him over your hip. But yeah. No, Michael Bailey says Lewis has to just stand up BJJ defense. Like here in town, we're like, you know, everybody knows Lewis. You know, all the local guys, like, you know, they're all like, Lewis is if you know jiu-jitsu doesn't work, I would just stand up. Was a person. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Spivak already potatoed Olenek. Yeah, Spivak already.
That Spivak made Olenek look his age. Olenek was the Olenek thing. That little run he was on was fun. We knew it was going to hit it. Olenek looks done. He really does.
Yeah.
Let's carry on. A guy who doesn't look done. Terrence McKinney just absolutely destroyed Eric Gonzalez. And that Terrence McKinney, this looked like a negative 1,000 guy. I mean, he's almost negative 1,000. A 10-1 favorite. What a 10-1 favorite should do to a guy. And then he still made it look impressive. Like beyond that, he made it look like he should have been a negative 2,000 favorite.
I agree that he looked good, but for a guy who is saying all the right things coming out of the Dober fight, I've been humbled. I was starting to believe my own hype. I was trying too hard to top my previous performances. He looked tonight like he was still trying to top his previous performances. Like, and because of that, he got caught clean and kind of rung up for a sec by a plus, 650 underdog. You know, he was like minus 950 or something.
Yeah. The guy landed a punch on him and that made him step back. I don't know if he was rocked, but as Joshua Lazar did, he said that Ben went straight GSP Matt Hughes on him. He wasn't impressed with his performance. So I've told you before. Shout out to Sean Bitter. He's a phenomenal follow on Twitter, phenomenal writer, one of the best prospects. He's a great mind. He sets up like a Survivor League. So basically, you start. It's like I don't know how many people are in it. It started like 200 people. I don't know. It's a shitload of people. And it's all hardcores. Obviously, you pick 3 fighters every event. If they win, you stick around. If you lose, you go. If one guy loses, you're down 2 picks the next event. To basically, you get all 3 picks wrong, you're out. It's down to 6 people left, and we all picked Terrence McKinney. So we're actually kind of adjusting the rules. This guy, I'm one of the 6 people. So hopefully, if any of you guys in the chat are in it, screw you guys. Let me win that one. I like McKinney because I think he's really well-rounded. He's got that wrestling background. He hits like a friggin' truck. His confidence was there. He came out very aggressive, but it was like a controlled aggression, where he had this confidence. I'm not going to miss. I'm going to land. I'm going to go to the body. I'm going to teep kick. I'm going to hook. A lot of different variety. He gets in the clinch, power knees coming up. Then he starts changing the elbows. Everything's landing for him. The gas tank is the big question mark. I'm worried about that, but everything else, man, the ability is off the charts. I tweeted this out. He's got 13 wins. 12 of them are first-round knockouts under 3 minutes. He's got 12 wins in under 3 minutes. The Paddy Pimblett call-out was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's not going to get that fight.
Nope.
But just to get people talking, I call him out. That moment gets tweeted. Maybe Paddy responds, talks shit. Listen, if you're running the UFC, do not match Paddy Pimblett against Terrence McKinney.
No.
Unless
you put him against Eric Gonzalez.
Yeah, no.
Pimblett versus
exactly.
Gonzalez is next.
Yeah. The only way you match Paddy Pimblett versus Terrence McKinney is if Paddy Pimblett has one fight left in his contract. He's asking for way too much money. You're not going to re-sign him. He's going to leave. He's got to go to Bellator or PFL or one championship or something else, and you want to punish him similar to what you're doing with Nate Diaz. That's when you put him against Terrence McKinney. Give Paddy Pimblett Clay Guida. Give him some. Do not do that to Paddy. That said, what would you do? I'm going to give. All right, this is what I'm going to do with Terrence McKinney. I'm giving that fast track. I had people tweeting at me. I had one of my tweets I did tonight was like one of my most popular tweets when I was talking about him. I had people messaging me and text, like casual fans who happen to be watching, all loving this kid. He's got to get a little bit of fast track. I'm putting him on that fast. Like he's getting that Six Flags Universal Studio Express Pass kind of, not the like golden card, not the Connor. You skip the entire line, but you got a little bit of a line. You got a little shorter line, that single riders line. I'm giving him a tougher test than Paddy. I'm giving him Bobby Green.
Wow. That is competitively very appropriate because he's not just going to blitz him. Like he's not going to knock out Bobby Green in 33 seconds. If he turns to his wrestling and grappling and just does a quick strike like submission like he did early in his career, that would be interesting to see. But I like that. I had a couple names, that were competitively around the same. I had Ludovic Klein or Drakkar Klose, both of whom have won in the last couple of weeks. But neither of those has quite the same sizzle as Green as far as propelling McKinney's name.
Who was the first name you said?
Ludovic Klein.
Oh, Klein. Okay. I think Drakkar Klose could sell it. Drakkar Klose likes to talk a little bit.
Yep.
That'd be fun. That would be
but
fun.
Green, honestly, that's a fight night co-main event. If something falls off, it's a fight night main event that we're not mad at. Like, Green has certified himself in that regard, and there would be talking, absolutely, but it'd probably be pretty cordial.
Yeah.
Like they both like to talk, but they're not really salty. It'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be a good test. Like if McKinney did dumb stuff, Green can make him pay. That's what I want to see.
With Kutalazzi, that'd be a lot of fun, but I'm just keeping those guys away from each other.
Yeah.
Moicano was actually high-low one. Moicano. That's actually what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Moicano. That was actually the guy I wrote in first, and then Bobby Green came across, and they go, Bobby Green would be fun. I like the Drakkar Klose though, just because I think they would sell it. I really do. Anyways, that was the main card. Let's go to the prelims. We'll go a little faster. We can't avoid it any longer. Sam Alvey took on Michelle Olasechuk. Give him. I don't even like talking about it. I don't even like talking about Sam Alvey getting smoked anymore. Just stop.
All 6 of his kids were there. His mom was there. Why would you bring all these people to see you get your ass kicked? Like, why would you do this? And I do love that of the two of them, Olasechuk is the one that made weight without any apparent problem. Like Alvey had to weigh in twice, looked like death. He was not smiling the second time.
Yeah, he's an older guy, used to fight at light heavyweight. Yeah.
His face was split wide open after about the second punch. And that was it. Olasechuk was just all over him.
Him having his family there and everything, it reminds me of these things you see on I don't know, what's it, TikTok or Reels or one of these things. What are those little short video things are? I know. Shut up, boomer. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But like TikTok, where you see like a guy proposes to a girl in front of all his family, and the girl says no.
Yep.
Like, that's how I feel like when I watch Sam Alvey and his wife cornering him and getting beat up in front of everybody. The dude is now 0-for-9 in his last 9 fights. He hasn't won a fight in like 4 years. The guy doesn't need to be cut. He needs to retire for his own good. We said this on the preview. I'll say it again. He needs a Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan podcast. Dude, I'm worried about your own safety. Brennan Schaub moment. Stop fighting. Like, you have children, you have kids. Do something else.
I agree. We're not to the cut list yet, but he's already the first fighter ever to be on the Shillan and Duffy cut list 3 times. They don't usually make it because the UFC gets the message and actually cuts them. But
what was that? What was the name of that guy? I can't remember. I know guys. It's 20 past 2 in the morning, and I was at a softball game all day today in like 95-degree heat. Shout out to my daughter. Can I brag about my daughter for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
She made it to the nationals in a singing competition. She scored first time ever singing. She made it all the way to the nationals in Orlando. She won. She got the Superior Award, but that's not what I'm bragging about her. She flew on a plane, arrived at 10:30, really almost 11. Got picked up by my wife, drove right to the softball. Never went home. Changed in the car, right to the softball team to be in a tournament, her last tournament of the season, and pitched an absolute gem. Like the kid is unhuman. So I'm super proud of my daughter Lila. Anyways, Sam Alvey. Question is, who would win right now, Sam Alvey or my daughter Lila? I'm just kidding. I don't know what we're talking about. Back to what we're talking about, Sam Alvey. I don't know. Like just retire. Like cut him, retire. Let me ask you this: Oleksiejczuk obviously looks sensational. He's been on a nice little run. He had that tough loss to Jacoby, but he had moments in the Jacoby fight early. Do we learn anything about? Can you learn anything about Oleksiejczuk when you go against a guy like Sam Alvey and you kill him?
I learned everything I wanted to about Oleksiejczuk on Friday.
Thank you.
He made weight, no problem. He looked good. I knew he was going to beat Sam Alvey. He was going to crush Alvey. Like, I just wanted to know, can he make weight? Does he look like death on the scale? No, he looked fine. And in fact, he looks like he could probably make 170. He's not a big dude. That was the problem he ran into with, what's his name? With Dustin Jacoby. He ran into a guy that wanted to do the same thing and was just bigger and stronger and faster.
I know where I was going before I got sidetracked with the softball. I can't think of the guy's name. What was the name of the guy that he does it for Bellator now. He used to do it for the UFC. The guy in the back, he ran the bag. He's like, we're rolling. Let's go.
The babysitter to the stars. Oh, I can't remember his name.
I'm talking about.
No. Yeah, of course.
Legendary guy. Like, give Sam Alvey that job. It's just Sam.
Make him the Walmart greeter of the UFC, basically.
Yeah, like super happy. Hey, like you're warming up the back. You're a little nervous. Sam Alvey comes in smiling, like, hey man, you got this. You're gonna do great. And like, isn't that the guy you want to come back there and say that?
Yep.
Like, just give Sam Alvey that job. Say, dude, you're gonna retire, but don't worry, we're gonna take care of you. You have this job. You can bring your wife. She can. Your family can live here in Vegas or whatever. Burt Watson, thank you, Alan. Alan's been great.
Alan's
today.
on the ball.
Yeah, Alan's on the ball. The Burt Watson. The Sam. Tell me that Sam Alvey's not perfect for that job. I don't know who's doing the job now. I'm sorry, I'm giving away your job, but give it to Sam Alvey. Before that, Brian Battle took on Takashi Soto. Brian Battle making his welterweight debut, and could you have a better debut than that?
Nope. A
jab, 2 and high kick. See you later. Out cold. One of those scary knockouts.
Yeah, as soon as first the kick, as untelegraphed as you could get. Like the leg is coming up, and Battle's shoulders are not tilting. His head is not tilting. He's rechambering the jab, and all of a sudden it is shin upside Battle's neck. Beautiful kick, or Sato's neck. Sato was going down, and Sato was already going fully clonic on his way down. Like his toes are pointed, his arms, dude, his brainstem. Basically, Brian Battle kicked about 200 million years of evolution out of Sato's head. Yeah. Sato was he had become one of the first fish that crawled up on land and had just 20 brain cells. He knocked that dude fucking dead.
Yeah. I'm glad he's okay. That's the ones you say, well, at least you didn't feel it. You didn't feel that shot. You just wake up and go, what are you talking about? I was hitting him. Nah, you were hitting him until you weren't.
Yep.
Congratulations to Brian Battle. Had a great show on the Ultimate Fighter. Been undefeated so far in the UFC. Moved down, got a knockout. And So Mo Usman and Juliana Miller, this is what you get to look forward to. You get to, you got to fight a whole season to be buried on the prelims.
Yeah. I mean, one thing worth mentioning about this, and we talked about it on the preview.
He was last season's winner, by the way. The last one.
Yeah, he won like 8 months ago.
And he hasn't lost since.
Yeah. Dev points out Battle killed it in the post fight too. Yeah, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. We both talked about this on the preview. He was 2-0 at middleweight, and then dropped to welterweight. And just welterweight is such a more crowded division. Yeah, I mean, if he had won his third straight fight at middleweight tonight, we'd be talking about a top 15 opponent for him. Yeah, like. Literally, we'd be like, hey, Oleg Shaychuk just won. Do you want to bump them into each other?
I would stay at middleweight till you lost.
Yeah, but if he keeps doing this, the only problem is going to come when he runs into that glut of wrestlers that you start hitting around the 20 spot. But
he called out Ian Gary. I think that was a perfect call. He's not going to get that, and I wouldn't match them together. He doesn't have the same, and when I know people might misunderstand. I know you know what I'm saying when I say I wouldn't match them together, though it's the perfect call. Be like, well, why is it going to call if you're not getting that matchup? It's not about whether you get it; it's whether you put it in people's mind that you want it.
Yep.
And if you don't get it, that guy's ducking you. That's all it's about. It's not whether you get it. It's like when people call out Jake Paul and you know they're not getting the Jake Paul. It's just maybe he retweets at you, maybe he makes something of it.
Yeah, it's like every fighter in the UFC between 145 and 170 who wins, half of them call out Conor McGregor, whether they're a champ or they're somebody who just won their second fight in the UFC.
I would love for one prelim guy just one time, like, oh, you just won your first fight in the UFC. And like, obviously, like, it's tongue in cheek. Like, who do you want next? Well, who do I want next or who I'm going to get next? Who I want Conor McGregor. Who I'm going to get? Okay, give me insert Brian Battle or insert whatever guy that you actually might be able to get. Like that would be funny if someone did that. Like first fight in the UFC, first fight of the night, just won a split decision, over like a contender series guy, Yeah. He also called. So he called out Ian Gary. I don't want to say it. He also called Brian Barberino. I'm gonna put a pin on that till a little bit later. Second fight of the night was the female battle between Cody McKenna and new mom Miranda Granger. Granger making a return to the UFC. Not the way she wanted it, is pretty one-sided. McKenna turned into a wrestling match, took her down. I like a lot of what McKenna did, and what I like about her is the last fight against Elise Reed. I was saying, why isn't she wrestling enough? Like she's not wrestling enough. She's kind of getting picked up on the side. This time she didn't do that. She went right to her wrestling, right to her blood and butter. I know she's been training with Team Alpha Male, which I like. I like a European fighter leaving a small team, going to a super team. Obviously that style too. Like she's a shorter for the weight class, want to get inside wrestle. That's the perfect team to do with. That's all they've ever created. She said she's trained with Darren Elkins. That's a perfect guy if you want to do that. She hit the first ever female Von Flue choke. That's pretty cool. It
is. Really impressive too. Like good setup on it for something that she frankly stated that she doesn't really train it, but trapped the far arm so that like Granger knew what was happening and was literally yelling at her corner, I know, I'm trying to get out. Like,
yeah. Michael Bailey, thanks for correcting me. It is not Team Alpha Male. It's just Team Alpha now. I apologize.
I love that Paige Van Zandt was there for like years and they never bothered changing the name. But now
they're coming with the times. With the times. She's only 23. That's the other thing about Corey. She's 23. There's so many. There's like a new wave of younger female fighters, so I'm not too excited about her, but she's 2-1 now. She's got a couple good wins. I wouldn't say this is a good win, but at 23, I like where she's going.
It's a good win in that she did what a future top 10 fighter should do to a Miranda Granger.
Okay,
never really let her in the fight.
Yep,
no sold the reach difference and just bodied her on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kick off the night, and I tweeted this out like, oh, this is going to be one of those nights. And luckily it didn't. It ended up going great. But Mayra Bueno Silva took on Stephanie Egger in the what the F moment. Mayra Bueno Silva won by first round submission. Ben, just talk about this for a second, and then just tell the people what happened. I mean, obviously everyone here know, but
everybody knows what happened. It feels like a million years ago, but yeah, one of two fights I got wrong on the night. As
yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, just this one and the heavyweight fight, Usman. That was it.
I had the Luque one too, so I had 3 wrong.
It looked like a Stephanie Egger fight for a minute. Yeah. You know, she stepped inside behind the punch, tossed Mayra Bueno Silva to the ground, and then everything started to go real wrong. Ended up Silva got kind of a belly down armbar. Then she just hops up and goes. She tapped, and Stephanie Egger tried to admit the lie of omission. Now, Keith is a police officer.
I'm glad you said that. Yes.
So Keith is used to people trying to lie to him all day, every day, just trying to get one over on him.
She did?
And what'd she do?
She said, talk to my lawyer. That's what she did.
Yeah. It's like, I have no recollection of that event.
Yeah.
I'm invoking my right not. Do they have the right not to?
Did you tap? And she goes,
no speak English.
Yeah. Listen, I see a lot of people on Twitter are calling her like pieces of garbage. One of the listeners in here. Listen, I just put her in the Tim Elliott category. Like, she needs to get a little bit more of the Matt Lillin tapping skill down, like how to fake a tap a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I watched this before the ending happened, I just said, this is why MMA sucks. I'll tell you all the reasons why I love MMA. But there's every little things where it's just like, only in our sport does shit like this happen. The NFL would have an angle you would have a camera angle of every single thing, except there's only one angle, never shown, ever shown in the history of
not this shit again.
Football. It is the tuck. I mean, not the tuck rule. Sorry, the helmet catch, the David Tyree helmet catch. I'll go to my grave saying, and it never showed the opposite side, which were they start with Eli Manning on this side and the catch. They would show one side, they don't show the other side, which would actually show if the ball was trapped against the ground or his helmet. I'll go to my grave saying, I'm not saying he didn't catch the ball. I'm just saying they never showed the other angle. It's a conspiracy against my Patriots. In the perfect season.
Your Boston is definitely showing.
Yeah, as far as the tuck rule is a terrible rule, but a rule. It was the right call. Anyways.
I'm expecting Stephanie Egger to, get a call from Tim Elliott and Gina Mazzani saying, "Come on out to glory." Well, like join our evil stable of like WWE style like heels.
She's like the Mr. Miyagi, like throw the salt in the eyes first. So there's a couple reasons why I knew it was a tap. I knew it was a tap right away. The first thing was it was extremely deep.
Yeah,
as Michael Bisping pointed out, where the elbow was. 2, Silva was extremely confident. As soon as she shut up, she goes, "Look at the video."
Yep.
Anytime they say "look at the video,"
yeah, I mean, if the Brazilian is saying no, look at the video, like he's probably got a pretty good case. Like,
yeah, when I was in patrol and I wanted to search someone's car, they go, "You can search my car if you want." It was like they're hoping I go, "Oh, I believe you." First, the guy goes, "Dude, I got nothing good. Get search my car." Yep. I'm not finding anything. Much different. And then definitely the way that Edgar didn't say a single word, and then also obviously the judge and Herb Dean. And I like that they actually showed where the judge who said he saw the tap. They showed that he was behind. He was at the angle, so he actually could see. Like, him and Herb Dean were both right there, so that does make a little bit more sense. So I know they said in the Gegard Mousasi, Chris Weidman, they actually did the same thing where they kind of asked the judges. I didn't even know that was a rule, but I've been watching MMA since like 1995, and I didn't know it was like, oh, we don't know what to do. Ask the judges. I didn't even know that was a possibility. I was in fairness though. They said Mousasi and Weidman did the same. I was in attendance, so I didn't hear the commentator. I was actually in Buffalo for that one. So Did you know that? Did you know that's what they do?
I only knew from Jay Petrie because he went to the same ABC courses like
Jay knows
a
everything.
couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Jay knows everything too.
Yeah.
My question is, what if they didn't see the tap? What would have happened? Would it have been a no contest? Would they have restarted it? What would have? They can't restart it, right?
You can't. No, you can't restart it.
You can't be like, hey, put your arm back in that position, or worse, go, back on your feet.
No, no. Like once he's broken them up, the fight's over. It's just whether it's a no contest, a technical submission, or disqualification. Like what he decided. But yeah, if nothing's provable, it probably becomes a no contest, and it goes on our robbery of the year list.
Yeah. Regardless of all this, lost in all of this was an unbelievable great armbar submission by Bueno Silva on a high-level grappler like Stephanie Egger. That gets lost in the shuffle. That's a really good win.
Yes.
So nice job. She went a little overboard with this. I understand the crying. She went a little overboard. I mean, she was acting like she just won the title or something.
She does that every time she wins. Yeah. Like it's shut up. Shut up. Stop crying. Stop crying. It's just like somebody like stacked Felice Herrig and Jessica I in a trench coat and like stuck them out in the cage. That's what half our listeners were saying when it was like it's 2 a.m. and I'm talking about my 12-year-old daughter's softball. Just shut up. It's 2 a.m. I don't want to hear about your 12U softball league. So there you guys have it. We covered all 10 fights. Let's get to the fun stuff. Do we have the awards? We do have the awards.
Okay, so the way we do it, we kind of we guess the awards. Do we have what do we have? Fight of the night?
We have a fight of the night, and we have 3 performance bonuses. It's interesting that we've had 2 cards this year where every fighter who got a finish got a bonus, and they didn't.
This card didn't. The one that actually made sense. All right, so 1 fight of the night and 3 performances. So I'm going to guess. Well, this is what I would give it to.
Yeah. Okay, you in the chat, knowing that there's a fight of the night and 3 performance bonuses, you probably already know what they are. So just put what you would have given the bonuses to.
Okay. I don't know what it is. I didn't look.
And Keith does it, so Keith's going to guess.
All right. Brian Battle performance tonight for sure. Man, that was some good knockout. I even though I don't think he was a good performance, the way it ends, I'm assuming Usman is getting one. And the third one, I would go maybe McKinney, but he's such a big favorite. Olasejuk, even though he was such a big favorite, he ran right through Sam Alvey. I'd go Olasejuk. And as far as the fight of the night, to me, the fight of the night has to be the only really competitive fight. Really fun. Well, actually, it wasn't that competitive, but it was fun. Like the most action fight, I'd say, even though it wasn't competitive. I'd go Geoff Neal and Vicente Luque. Those who I would give the awards to.
Okay, well, your fight of the night is your main event, Jamahal Hill versus Thiago Santos.
Wow. Okay.
Your performance bonuses. Brian Battle.
Okay. Good.
Geoff Neal. Which,
okay.
If you knew they didn't win fight of the night, would that change your mind about a performance bonus?
Yeah, I just don't know who I'm stealing it from. If I'm like, I guess I do.
Well,
I guess
the stealing's not over.
I guess I'd steal from Olasejuk, I guess.
He already been stolen from because your other performance bonus of the night goes to Muhammad Usman.
Okay, no, I'm okay with that. Like I didn't. It wasn't a good performance, but the way it ends when you have a walk-off one punch, you're gonna get the performance. That's what the UFC wants. They want walk-off knockout. It's different. Even though Olasejuk put a 10-punch combination on Sam Alvey and dropped him 5 times and pretty much had a flawless victory, it's not the same as the one punch ending. It is what it is.
Yeah,
so I'm okay with it. The main event, do they deserve a performance bonus? I don't know.
My performance bonuses would have gone obviously to Battle. That's a knockout of the year candidate. Geoff Neal for sure. I mean, to be the first person ever to knock out Vicente Luque.
Yeah. I get that. The way it ended, I get that.
And Chris Sherwin, the first Von Flue in women's MMA history can't get a bonus. I would have given it a bonus.
You know what? That's actually a good point. That's a good point. This is just a tough. They should have just gave everybody a bonus. Every 10 for 10. No for the night.
If ever there was a card.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Both times they've done it so far, they've been fight night events on the road. So one, the crowd is going bananas, and two, they have gate. So if they give out $500,000 in bonuses because there's 10 finishes, like the gate eats it. So I guess it's a little different.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's do the fun stuff. The Bulls and the Bears, the cut list, and we have a new segment that will surprise you guys with. You want to do the negative first?
Of course.
Do the cut list. We always do it. I don't know why I say that. We do it every time. The cut list. If you haven't watched the show before, it's a way me and Ben, we both have to say the same person. If they're on both of our lists, we give the UFC permission to cut this person. Ben, how many people do you have on your list?
I have 4.
Okay, I have 4 too. I'm gonna guess that we have the same 4. I'm gonna bet on it. Give me one of them.
Miranda Granger.
We are 3 fights in a row. She's lost. We are in agreement. Give me a second one.
Sam Alvey.
Well, you knew he was on the list. We
Sam Alvey.
Like we might name this the Sam Alvey cut list. Like the Sam Alvey. All right, we're gonna get to the Sam Alvey now.
Sam.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the Sam Alvey now. I mean, 9 fights, 0 wins. Give me another one.
Eric Gonzalez. I know he's only lost 2, but he's not been especially competitive in either one. And
no,
he got
no offense in any of them.
And got crushed by Jim Miller. Like,
yeah, we're 3 for 3. Let's give me one more. Let's see if we go perfect. 4 for 4.
Brogan Walker.
We are not 4 for 4. I was giving Brogan Walker another fight in the UFC.
Okay.
I had Takashi Sato. He's lost 3 fights in a row. Just got knocked out cold. I had Sato. So Sato gets saved by Ben. I save Brogan Walker. I
appreciate that neither of us put Augusto Sakai on the list, even though he's lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Just stop giving him top 15 fighters.
And it's also the weight class, too. I have a hard time cutting flyweights. I have a hard time cutting heavyweights.
Yeah.
Especially higher level heavyweights. He's not low weight, bottom of the rung. That's different. But I saved Brogan Walker because, we need a contender from Guam.
The UFC must really want a Guamanian contender. John Tuck, we barely knew you.
All right, let's get to the Bulls and the Bears. The Bulls and the Bears are a stock market reference. We do it 3-2-1 kind of hockey style. You want to be on the Bulls list. That's when the stock's going up or the market's going up. When it's going down, it's a bear stock. We'll keep it negative again. Do you mind if I go first?
Please go right ahead.
All right. So my first bear, Vicente Luque. Back-to-back fights. He's lost. He was not competitive really in either one of them. He was the betting favorite in both of them. And then he's getting a knockout, face-planting knockout in this one. I really wonder about that damage catching up. To me, his stock is really going down. My number 2, this guy we just talked about. You just said stop giving him top-ranked heavyweights. Well, the reason they give him because one time he was used as a top-ranked heavyweight. He's lost 4 in a row. Obviously, I'm talking about Augusto Sakai as he's really fallen. And number 1, not a terrible performance in the main event, but he arguably one judge gave him a scorecard over John Jones. Like he went from that to winning one of his last 6 fights. Thiago Santos is my number 1 bear of the night. Let's hear yours, man.
Okay, I agree with all yours. So rather than come up with 3 more of my own, there's just 2 that I want to add real quick. One, Stephanie Egger. Losing by itself is rarely embarrassing in the UFC, especially if you're losing to a good grappler, by a grappling technique. You can make it embarrassing by doing what she did. That's the kind of I won't say it could get you cut because, you know, we still have like unrepentant eye gougers in the UFC. But yeah, that's going to stick in people's minds for a long time. That's the equivalent of like, oh, remember that fighter that quit on the stool, or remember that fighter that, yeah, did embarrassing thing here. That's going to stick with Stephanie Egger. And my number one, ESPN card pacing.
Oh God.
Now this is an old man reference. Okay. I'm in my 40s. So I remember the days of dial-up. To have this many sizzling fights with such a long wait in between, it's like waiting for porn to load on a 56K modem. Like you get a moment of satisfaction and then just this frustrating wait where you're pulling your hair out, you know, like the lotion's drying, you know, you drop the sock. Just what a shame. What a shame that the UFC, man, I chased Keith all the way out of the room with this. Wow. Why did this have to be a 6-hour card? You know, it is just maddening. And I know that
I gotta hold the Bible on a Sunday morning when you're talking about stuff like that. Gotta keep my salvation over here, brother.
Just went to get the Bible. That's all.
I'm supposed to be the one that says these things. Oh my Lord, Ben.
Yeah, just
on a Sunday morning.
And it's one thing if you can just tune in halfway through the card and skip all the commercials and the interstitial bullshit and condense it down. But if you're working, so you've got to actually do stuff and respond and score fights in real time.
Yeah.
This becomes maddening. I'm like, why am I spending 6 hours of my day on 2 hours of work?
Yeah.
Dev goes fishing with the old school LimeWire reference. Yeah, dude. Like this was like Kazaa or Napster. Like unbelievable.
Yeah, guys, please don't tell us about your favorite old school porn that you downloaded.
Like hit me with the DMs on those. But yeah, those are my bears. As amazing as this night of fights was, if they weren't tied to the ESPN Disney pacing, would have been better.
Dev puts the Bible as a ball. I'm messing things up. I'm throwing the cut list on there. We're on the Bears. I'm all messed up. All right, let's do the Bulls. Ben, you're on a roll, man. So just keep going.
Okay. Bulls. I'm gonna lump in Brian Battle and Michal Oleksiejczuk together because they are two guys that cut weight, came out for the first time at their new weight. They made weight without incident, and they absolutely trashed their opponents. And in both cases, I mean, they were heavy favorites for a reason, but that doesn't always go that well. Plenty of fighters lay an egg their first time in a new weight class. Both those guys look fantastic, and both of them, frankly, looked like future contenders in their new division. Oleksiejczuk probably faster since he was already a pretty good guy at 205, and he's dropping to a less crowded division than Battle is. Number two, Jamahal Hill. I mean, Keith and I both kind of picked at his performance a bit. I think I picked at it a little more, but ultimately it's the win that's propelling him into the discussion of being one of the top 6 or 7 light heavyweights in the world. It's the one that's probably put him on the cusp of at least a title eliminator in his next fight. So big level up moment for him. And for me, the biggest bull of the night is Geoff Neal. I mean, biggest win of his career, best performance of his career, reminded us, I think Keith put it perfectly, where I think people are just going to kind of forget the little hiccups against Thompson and, you know, that kind of 2 or 3 fight stretch, because he was that same just blistering guy that he was coming out of the Contender Series. So yeah, he's my winner of the night for sure.
Dude, the chat hasn't recovered from Ben's comment. Yeah, I agree with like a lot of the ones you had. So I mean, Geoff Neal obviously would be on both of our lists. I'm gonna go with Corey McKenna. I mean, first Von Flue choke in female MMA history. Regardless of where her career goes, she's got to be in the record books for that. You know, eventually another female will do that, but when they do that, they'll have to say this is the first Von Flue choke in female MMA since. So no matter where her career goes, they're going to mention Corey McKenna's name. So her stock rises for that. Always good. She got in the record books. So did Sam Alvey. We should probably put on the Bears. He got the record for longest losing streak in UFC history. Congratulations to Sam Alvey for that. My number 2, it's Terrence McKinney. I know he's this massive favorite. I know that, but people are buying the buzz 12 wins in less than 3 minutes. He's the guy that everyone's going crazy, which is ironic because he's lost to he lost to, was it like Derek Minner beat him? He got knocked out by obviously Drew Dober. He got knocked out, but Sean Woodson, he has losses. It's not like this unblemished prospect. He has losses, and people still buzzing about him. So people really like him. But my number one, how about the Usman family? This is the first time in history we have two brothers, and when I'm saying brothers, I'm talking about biological
actual brothers.
Yes. As they won the show, both of them. Kamaru Usman won that weird season with it was at that time the Black Zillions and an American Top Team and that weird beef. And then obviously Mo Usman backed it up. But besides winning the Ultimate Fighter, this family, listen how amazing it is. This family is 16-0 in the UFC. So
how bad is it going to be if Muhammad gets like 1 L and he's and Usman retires without ever losing in the UFC?
No, you know what even better? No, if Kamaru loses to Leon Edwards and Mo's like, dude, you ruined our streak.
That'd be even better.
That's it. Hey, it's like the backup quarterback gets a ring too. That's kind of the thing we're going on. So congratulations to the Usman family who are taking over. Obviously, Kamaru Usman, arguably the greatest fighter in the world right now. But all right, due to popular demand, and by popular demand, I said, this would be kind of fun if we did this. We're going to bring in a new segment, and this is the segment we're calling Dude, Seriously? So the Dude, Seriously segment is basically us saying there'll be one moment of the night where we say, Dude, seriously? And my Dude, Seriously moment is, Brian Battle, you are unbelievable tonight. You land a high kick knockout. You knock out Takashi Sato. You call out Ian Gary. It's perfect. He goes, I'm going for like all the clout. I'm going for everybody. Then I want Brian Barberino. And I want Brian Barberino because it can't be two Brians in the division. And you know what? You spell your name weird. Dude, seriously? You spell your name the same way. Come on. Like, get that shit right. Ben, do you have one for me?
I do. And since Alan called it out, I'll put his comment up there. Stephanie Egger, either lie and say, I didn't tap, I don't know what's going on, and just be like Shaggy going like, it wasn't me, until like, even as the video evidence is put in your face. But don't just stand there. She just stood there. She looked like my dog. Like when you catch your dog like eating something it's not supposed to, and it thinks if it just holds real still, you won't notice that there's like, I like a half bag of like candy that's been eaten, and the thing's like, or it ate a whole bag of peanuts, and now it's going to be shitting payday bars for the next week. So Egger just like deer in headlights, like seriously. And man, just floating through one out that one of us needed to get out there. So Sam Alvey, you're going to get plunked by this guy. You always bring your wife. That's cool. That's your thing. But you brought like your mom and your 6 kids, and you look like a murder victim after 15 seconds. Yeah. And these are small children. I'd be covering their eyes.
Let them know, you're in Vegas. Let them go play at the hotel pool while you get beat up. Then come back in and Daddy, why'd your face all butchered? Be I just fell on the stairs. Be careful. Or kids, that's why you don't that's why you don't dive in the pool. Something like that.
I'm gonna say that this new segment is going over gangbusters with our people here. Kyle's got one.
I just picture Tim Elliott at home. Like him and Gina Mazzani just watching Stephanie Egger, and that scene where the little kid tips his hat to when Derek Jeter respects, or when they do he has a bear. I just imagine Tim Elliott with a bear going respect. Good for you. I love that we made Tim Elliott the ultimate cheater in the world. I'm sorry. What did Kyle say?
Conan and Santos's corner. Telling him to stick to the grappling game plan, only to see Santos basically wilt later because he was tired from wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was good while it lasted game plan.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the grade. What was your grade for the card?
A+. I mean, yeah, I can complain about the pacing, but if this card wasn't an A+, then like what is? What are we even watching this for?
Okay.
Again, by the standards of a fight night, there's not much divisional implications. There are some people on losing streaks, but in terms of just delivering action in the cage, this one was fantastic.
All right. I agree with it's fantastic. I feel like this card to me was like, I'm a school teacher and a kid like didn't show up until it's like April. You're like, oh, you haven't been here since September. Oh, you want to pass? And you have a 0. And then he just starts creaming tests, doing extra credit. He's doing all this shit. But, dude, like you started in such a hole. Like fights fell out. You started at 8 o'clock. It was 8:15 before the first fight. I was waiting all freaking day for the fight to start. The main event didn't start to almost 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like the pacing was terrible. Like I had to keep watching the same 2 damn commercials over and over again. One was for Sunday Night Baseball. I don't give a shit how many times you show me Sunday. I'm not watching. Unless my only other option is the other commercial they kept showing me was Sue Bird's last game in the WNBA. All right, I'll watch Sunday Night Baseball. I thought Sue Bird's last game was in 1996 when she played for the Yukon Huskies. I had no idea she was still playing like 26 years later, whatever it is. 26 years later. So, yeah.
Yep. There's a bull we both missed, by the way.
What?
A hearty thank you from the Shillan and Duffy show and all of our friends in the chat to Ariane Lipsky for blowing weight so badly that she removed a terrible fight from this card. It was addition by subtraction because there would not have been 100% finishes if she and Priscilla Cachoeira had climbed in. It would have been another lousy women's flyweight fight. She took one for the team. She took an extra trip to the buffet for the team.
Yeah, so make sure if anybody comes in contact with Ariane Lipsky, you just say, hey, Keith from the Shillan and Duffy show, he said really nice things about you. He's always saying nice things about you, Ariane. Always, Keith. Always, not Ben. Ben's
the jerk. Ben's yeah.
I have no idea where we're going. We're dragging this thing. Yeah, F for Disney and the pacing. A for the fights. Balance out. I'll give it a B. Sorry, guys. I'm being negative. Hardest question. The chat was booming. It's freaking 3 a.m. The guys are still chatting it up. Who's your? I can't even pick one. Who's your listener of the night?
Man, I mean, a shout out first of all to Papa Chuck, who I think might be new. So definitely my rookie of the year. I gotta like Alan McDonald, like all of us, like in the chat, like there's one-liners flying left and right. People with just like hot takes, reminding us of stuff we didn't know, and then Alan just keeping it calm, bringing us the facts. Like, he's almost like
being professional. He's the John Anik.
He's like a production intern on the show almost.
He's the John Anik of the show, where Joe Rogan and DC in it. I'm gonna go with another guy that I haven't seen before. I apologize. I hate to say that because I hate to say like, oh, I'm here every week, and I'm gonna go with, and I apologize for saying his name wrong or her name wrong. True Shot was jumping in early and with some great, but technical wealth's great. Michael Bailey's great. These guys are Dev. Higher, low. All these guys are great. You mentioned Alan McDonald. Yeah. Another guy who was really great tonight, just floating through. He didn't just float through. He stuck around the whole time, but he's been great. Luke Wilson, he did a great job recapping last week. He's back in the chat. So there you guys have it. We have covered the entire night. I think we do it better than anybody. I'd say I don't care. I'll put a fight in words on. I think we did better. We're at least doing it later, I think. So there you guys have it. We covered all the fights. We will be back. We've already taped UFC San Diego, Dominic Cruz versus Marlon Chito Vera. That'll be out first thing Monday morning, so make sure you check out that preview show. Both me and Ben will be back next week to recap it. Make sure, continue to do all that stuff. We try not to beg you guys, but like, share, continue to comment, do all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Until then, see you guys next time.